And at the same time, we were, I guess, creating and then launching what would then become our occupational pensions offering, which is, in fairness, gone from strength to strength. And the success with Your Island Pension recently has obviously pushed that on even further. Yeah, so my name is Sean Gillease. I'm Managing Director of Sovereign Pension Services in Guernsey. The role, so overall responsibility for the pensions business here. So that's strategy, predominantly where we want to go, and then operational delivery of that day-to-day running. In the last couple of years, we've collaborated with the other offices. So we've now got a sort of collective leadership team for pensions, wealth and insurance that I am part of. So as well as the strategy and operational sort of delivery here, we've expanded that to look at areas where what works well and trying to unify that and ensure that we're all on the same journey. So the role now encompasses certain aspects of the other jurisdictions and business lines. Day to day, a lot of variety, a lot of dealing with people. Obviously, we've got somewhere in the region of 35 staff here and then others elsewhere within the group. So a lot of people management, a lot of trying to make sure that that strategy is cascaded down to the right levels and the right teams, and that what we're working on is ultimately all moving in the same direction towards that end goal. Yeah, so I sort of stumbled into pensions more than intentionally targeted it as an industry or a career. I took on a marketing role at another local pensions company 16 years ago, it would have been. They, at the time, were heavily involved and active in UK pension transfer business. So they operated a Guernsey-based product, had thousands of clients, similar to what Sovereign does as well. My early years experience was very much centred in that sort of fairly niche area, UK pension transfers. There were some changes from a UK perspective that meant in Guernsey that wasn't really a market opportunity anymore outside of Guernsey. So people moving here, it was still possible for, but obviously those numbers are a lot smaller than what they were dealing with at the time. I, myself, so to speak, saw that in other parts of the world, there was a definite shift towards a growth in employer-sponsored pension schemes. So auto-enrollment was very much in the sort of throes of implementation at that point, and I took a real interest in that. Locally, the states of Guernsey suggested that they would follow suit. So for me, I think I determined that the direction of travel and I guess the largest opportunities would be in that sort of area. And the company I was with, we had some involvement, but I think I was looking for something that would allow greater exposure to that. It was a similar journey to what Sovereign as a company were on, and I had some conversations with the leadership team here at the time, and they were in the process, I guess, of evolving from, certainly in Guernsey, fairly limited service offering, again, around UK pension transfers and local personal pensions business, towards looking at what opportunities there would be in that space. So things were quite aligned. I joined the business 8 years ago. So I came in a business development capacity. I was looking to generate our own sales for the Guernsey office, but also going out and given the experience and the sort of technical knowledge I'd built up, I was supporting the business development teams across the other offices as much as I could. And at the same time, we were, I guess, creating and then launching what would then become our occupational pensions offering, which is, in fairness, gone from strength to strength. And the success with Your Island Pension recently has obviously pushed that on even further. And those early foundations, if Group hadn't been willing to sort of support, spend the money, make the investment, get the necessary systems and people, these opportunities sort of 3-5 years down the line that we're now seeing wouldn't have been possible. Okay, so I sort of covered it in the previous answer. There is still a buoyant sort of personal pensions market, as I would call it. And what I mean by that is individuals setting up their own scheme. Now, that might be that they're going to pay money into or that they're going to transfer money into from elsewhere. But I think globally, the most significant shift, and the jurisdictions that we have presence in aren't sort of excluded from this, is that more onus is being pushed towards employers. That there is an expectation that it's within an employer's sort of duty, responsibility to provide benefits to their staff, and one of those being a pension of some sort. Certain jurisdictions, it wouldn't necessarily be as formalised as a pension, and it wouldn't necessarily be a legal obligation, but the direction of travel is very much that way. The work we've done in our local markets is, I guess, enabling us to then look at some of the other markets where maybe it hasn't come into yet, or the way it's coming in isn't quite as formalised, and allowing us, so from Guernsey, for example, to provide solutions to those markets where they might have a population of staff from 20 different countries or operating in 20 different countries. And rather than trying to set something up and go through that process in each of those territories, where they're able to put in place some sort of centralised arrangement, and Guernsey is certainly one of the sort of key markets for that, and we're increasing, let's say, our involvement in that space. The obvious highlight and success story has to be Your Island Pension. So when I'm talking about that now, that's been sort of 4 or 5 years in my head in terms of the involvement we've had. So there was 2 tenders run by the State of Guernsey for this. The first one ended up being awarded to an off-island provider, and then for various reasons that ultimately didn't move forward. Second time around, we decided we would put a submission forward. We didn't the first time around. We didn't think we had the necessary personnel, system capability. It was a bit too early in our journey, let's say. Second time around, we did, and we put forward what we thought was the best submission we could. Took a lot of learnings from what had worked in the UK and elsewhere. Ultimately, we were successful, so we were appointed by the States of Guernsey. That was a success on its own, really, to get that, I guess, at the stage we were at in our evolution, if that's the right word, towards becoming more of an occupational employer-sponsored provider. But I think what I would consider the biggest success is actually then delivering on that, because the sort of submission, the proposal part was one thing. Operationally, actually bringing the right number of people in a really, really challenging sort of recruitment climate, getting those people trained up at the same time as a lot of other things happening within a fairly short period of time, and then onboarding and bringing in close to 1,000 employers in 18 months. Obviously all the engagement with members, the educational side of it, the promotional side of it, and doing that in a way where the business as usual side of the office didn't fall over. So everyone that had direct hands on Your Island Pensions sort of development did a fantastic job, but equally there was probably 150% pressure then on the people that weren't involved, because others that would generally have been supporting their parts of the business weren't as available. So it was definitely a collective effort and required a lot from a lot of people. So that would be the obvious, I would say, sort of success story. I think highlights as well. Prior to that, we operated as one business in Guernsey, and then we split those out into 2 separate business units. And I think actually just successfully taking both of those businesses and being able to then grow them, run them in a way where the staff really bought into the respective journeys of each one, and then going on to be able to sort of deliver things like Your Island Pension has been a real highlight of my time. Yes, so probably have less free time than at any point I would have done in the past. Pretty traditional family guy, I guess. I've got a wife and 2 young daughters, and their social calendars are busier than ours. So a lot of, I guess, ferrying the girls around to different social things on their side, parties, ballet and the likes, but I wouldn't change that for the world. Personal hobbies, I've always been a mad football fan and enjoy playing it as much as I can. Age-wise, obviously, that's a bit more difficult than it used to be. So I play in the local Vets League, which is sort of over 35s now. A Man United supporter, so probably watch less than I would have done in the past, just because of we're not the same team we used to be, let's say. So those are the things generally outside of work. It's nothing out of the ordinary, really. It's very much spending good time with family. Guernsey's a lovely place to raise a family. There's some beautiful places to eat, beautiful places to go on nice walks and the beaches and everything. So we make the most of the place we live, really.